I got a strange going on out here. Something just killed my dog.
Something killed your dog?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Dano. As always, you guys, I got a great guest tonight. I have a returning guest. I've got the host of the Night's Watch. I got Jim Powell with me tonight. And you guys, Jim was involved in a week-long encounter, week-long camping trip up in the LBL. Now, if you remember a few episodes back, Natalie Smearman came on and told us about her encounters, what she had seen while she was filming a documentary with Relic Films up in the LBL. Now, Jim works with Greg, the founder, CEO of Relic Films, and they're up there shooting a documentary. And Jim has some pretty amazing stories of his own about that week, but also he can back up what Natalie spoke about on her episode. But before we bring Jim on, guys, thank you so much for coming to the show. I appreciate all the support you show. If you guys have had an encounter you'd like to come on the show and share those encounters, please shoot me an email at thecryptidpodcast72@gmail.com. Again, that's thecryptidpodcast72@gmail.com. And, I just realized I said show like 3 times in a row. But hey, let's not count that stuff. You guys, let's bring Jimmy on. Jim, sorry I called you Jimmy. How you doing, buddy?
Doing better than I deserve, bro. How are you doing?
Man, same. This is the last interview for 2025 for me. It's not going to be the last show I'm going to do. I plan on doing maybe something after this, live, but I'm definitely going to do something. I'm going to try to do something New Year's Eve before I head on over to my in-laws' house to celebrate. But
nice.
Yeah, man, it's you just reached out to me and I was super excited because when I was talking with Natalie, she's like, yeah, Jim was there. And I kind of took a little screenshot of while she was talking and I sent it to you. You're like, oh, Natalie.
Oh, yeah.
So, you, again, I've asked you this before, and for people who didn't see your last episode, 2 questions. One, what got you into the whole realm of cryptids? And 2, how did you get involved with Relic Films?
Okay. Well, as I said the last time, just for those who are new, because you are growing and I'm so proud of you. You're my hero.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, man, always. So I started off like pretty much everybody else, kind of watching this stuff on TV and consuming it ever since I was young, but eventually got older, was always interested in it, but never really felt like I would ever get involved in any way, shape, or form. And then essentially I had my own experience happen after I was an idiot and I tried something I heard about called CE5. And I had basically a 7 to 8 foot tall alien appear into my driveway. And that was the scariest moment of my life. And then after that, essentially I had a bunch of other stuff happen, and it wasn't all just related to ETs. I mean, it ran the gamut, Bigfoot, Dogman, shadow entities. I mean, a giant spider.
Oh, you mother. I was just,
you guys,
he said, you guys on his episode, he said this spider was as big around as a tire on a vehicle.
Yep.
No. And it slowly, what did it lower out of a tree and then hit the ground and then ran off across the street?
Yep.
Yeah. This lowered out of a tree in his front yard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, thank you. Nope.
Yeah. So, needless to say, I've had a lot of experiences, after that one set of events. And, things kind of got really crazy for me. It was kind of like years of what felt like torture, with the amount and variety of things that came. But eventually I decided to really have a think and do some really hardcore research on things. And I got my life straightened out, got on the straight and narrow, and gave my life to Christ. And then all of a sudden things took a dramatic turn. Instead of being tortured when things would show up, essentially I would just call on the name of God and they would run away in fear, pretty much.
Mhm.
So that was kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, well, I'm going to start talking about this now, because like I said, after that, things kind of went differently for me, and that's never happened. I was like, well, I've got to tell people about it. They need to know. So I started going down that path, and that's the Night's Watch. That's the show. And through that, I've made some awesome friends and met a lot of cool folks. And I remember I was at a conference here in Alabama, the second or third Alabama Bigfoot conference. I can't remember, but I met Greg there, and we started talking, and we were like, wait, you live in Alabama too? He's like, yeah. I'm like, well, dude, so do I. He's like, oh, okay, cool. Maybe we should hang out a little bit. I was like, yeah. And the idea was kind of thrown out there of like, by him, like, hey, I'm in need of a new cameraman. Do you want to come and do this stuff with me? Like, are you afraid easy? I'm like, no, not anymore. Things, I have a special flavor of PTSD now where once things kind of show up and make themselves known, I don't back down anymore. So I was like, yeah, man, I'll go out there. And we shot the first film together, which is going to be The Vanished, which is going to premiere actually in Gardendale, Alabama on the 31st of January. So if you guys are in the vicinity, come down, hang out, watch the movie. Vendors and speakers, lots of guest speakers. It's actually going to be my first public speaking gig that I've ever done. So
Sweet.
yeah, a little nervous about that. But I mean, it's like this, but I get to see everybody. So, but yeah, I mean, that's essentially how it happened. And we did our first expedition, just he and I in Georgia. And I'm pretty sure I told those stories on here, like with the Bigfoots and stuff that we saw.
Oh yeah.
And then we went to Townsend, Tennessee, and finished the rest of it up there, and had a great time, except for when the power went out and basically made us go without water for 3 days at the hotel. That was a rough time. And yeah, I don't want to relive those moments, but it was a great time. It was a great show. From what I've seen so far of that, it's gonna be amazing. Some of the stories that I haven't told yet, I'm going to tell at the premiere, so that'll be fun. I get to actually talk about everything.
Nice.
Then yeah, the first week in November, we went out to film the return to the LBL. So it was a great time. Really good time.
Yeah. And how many people were involved in that week?
Oh Lord, there was a lot of folks out there, man. I know for the first half of that week, the NCI guys were out there, and let's see here. They had left on Wednesday, which is when I got there, and Adam left with them. And then, of course, there's me being, my show plus Relic. And then the Seekers team, which is Trey Hudson and all them, they're out there with us. And other than that, it was the regular people from Relic. Oh, and of course, we had the awesome legend that is Martin Groves out there.
Yeah.
He was out there the whole time.
And that makes me feel really good because of all the health issues that he dealt with pretty much for the entire year, almost the entire year of 2025.
Oh yeah.
He missed out on the Tennessee Hairy Man or Tennessee Wild Man and Cryptid Con. He missed out on that one, which I was hoping to meet him there, but I hung out with Daryl Denton the entire time, and Harley Owens, and I met a bunch of great people there. But it was rough on him, and so to hear that he was there for the whole week, and it seemed like he was just back into a routine. man, it made my heart sing. It made my heart happy. So
Oh, I'm telling you, man. Because I'd been talking to him, for a while before that, checking on him periodically, and he was getting me worried, but he was like, "I'm gonna make it out there, bro. I'm gonna make it."
yeah,
I'm like, "Look, man, as long as you show up, like, I'll go get like a hover round from the rental center and strap a GoPro on you if I have to. Like, if you want to come, I'll do everything I can to make it happen." But I didn't have to do that. He was a good spirits. He was moving around, and we had Mark out there helping him too, which was awesome. Mark's a great guy from Night Vision Paranormal,
mm-hmm.
great researcher. He was there to hang out too. And man, Martin, he did great. I was
Yeah.
so impressed and so happy to see him out and about, man.
Oh, for
It
sure.
warmed my heart. But yeah, man, it was a good time. And like I said, I got there Wednesday, so like I know that Martin took them out there one of the nights beforehand, and they had something happen on the side of the road going somewhere. And I'm not the most familiar with that, but I'm sure Natalie probably
Yeah.
expressed some of that.
Yeah, she did. Now, real quick, before
Sure.
we get into your portion of here, because I'm gonna
Mhm.
give the show over to you. What is the name of the documentary, if you're able to say, that you guys were filming out there,
Mhm.
and a possible release date for that? Do you know?
As far as release date, I don't know. I know Greg has put the first little teaser trailer up on Relic Films on YouTube, and you can check that out.
Okay.
As far as title goes, from what I understand, it's going to be called something along the lines of "Return to the LBL, Making Contact."
Okay.
That was, from what I understood, the goal of the entire trip was to try to figure out a way to initiate contact.
Okay.
And I know that Wednesday night when I was there, oh yeah,
Well, you know what? I'm just gonna give the show over to you, man. And you did send me a screenshot, so
yeah,
whenever you want me to pull that up, just say, "And I sent you the screenshot," and I'll pull that up. But hey, the show's all yours, brother.
sure, let's go ahead and pull it up, man. All right, so this is directly after the fact. And you see Greg there for the very first time on an expedition, had to pull out his emotional support pew pew. So I guess the general question is, how did we get here? How did we get here? So you can go ahead and pull that off if you want. Cool. All right, so essentially what had happened was we go out, and this is going to be the all girls trip, essentially. I mean, it's just me and Greg. We're doing the camera work, and the girls are going to go out there and do their thing. They went previously and hung like pheromone chips and, the stuff. And, while I'm out there, I'm kind of going like over like the mental checklist in my head, like, the things that I do before I go out anywhere, because, I go out for my channel too. And I do the same thing, as soon as we get there and park, I'm going to start praying for at least myself, but anybody wants to join in, cool, come on, let's do it. And then after that, it's like, okay, I'm going to get the game plan of what you want. Greg, what do you want? That's what's going through my head, and I'm trying to piece it together. And as soon as we pull up, I start to open the door. I'm like, okay, so here we go. And then all I see is the girls in the car ahead of me just go running out of their little car truck Santa Fe thing, whatever that's called. And start like just running around like chickens with their head cut off and screaming and hollering and hooting. And I'm just like, what? What's going on? Like, Natalie is out there doing squatch calls, like trying to sound as intimidating as she possibly can. I mean, she's practically out there like a gorilla, just I'm surprised she didn't do that. But I was just like, oh, okay. So yeah, anything I was fixing to do was just out the window. Okay, well, let's get the camera going. And they start up and keep on. I'm just like, okay. this is like not my style at all. Like when I go out, I've already scouted the area, and I know to put myself into a vulnerable location and just hang out, because they'll know that you're there before you get there, and they'll come in always. I mean, it's always happened to me that way without fail. So I'm kind of perturbed. I'm just like, okay, this is kind of cheesy, kind of neat, but let's see if it works. This is the way they want to do it, so I'm here for it. And it's weird, like we start off hearing some thumps in the distance, and it's real bassy, like something just hitting the earth. And I've heard Martin's story about them doing this, as well as like the first LBL film. Like this seemed to like come before action started up too. So I was like, okay, maybe this is what's going on, but I don't know. But it also kind of sounds like, maybe the army base that's not too far off is maybe doing almost artillery drills or mortar fire, like just kind of walking it out to a distance, and I'm just like, what is this that I'm hearing exactly? Is it stomping, or is it that? It'll be a couple thumps, then silent, and then a couple more, and it's like, that's weird. I remember even at one time we heard a car, what we thought was a car, in the distance playing like some really loud music. We're like, that's weird. Well, where's the nearest road? And it's like, the nearest road that would be anywhere close to this, like civilization wise, is pretty far. I mean, like, we're out there. I'm like, okay, well, strange, but maybe it's somebody in a helicopter being super high speed and has a PA speaker, strapped to the bottom of it, playing music while they're firing off mortars or something. I'm just like, I don't know, but it's weird. And then all this, but I don't hear a helicopter, don't hear a car, but it's just loud music, but only for like, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds, and then it stops. And then you hear the thumping again, and it's like, this is weird, and everybody's kind of like looking around, trying to figure it out, and I'm just doing everything I can to kind of scan the area, as well as, get the girls in best I can too, and, kind of multitask. And I remember I am turned around filming them, and Greg is at my back, and Natalie starts walking forward while the other ones are talking about like feeling nauseous and this, that, and the other. I'm like, okay, so maybe somebody's getting zapped. And all of a sudden I hear Greg just start screaming and cussing. And I turn around, I'm like, what in the world? What is going on? And he's like backpedaling as hard as he can. Natalie's jumping forward, just with bear spray. And I'm just like, what's going on? You guys good? What's happening? And it's this kind of pandemonium for a minute. And, everybody backs up, and I'm just like, what's up? And like, they're like, just go back. And I'm doing everything I can to not trip over gravestones. And like, what happened, guys? What's up? And they said, essentially, that there was a light that looked, portal-like to them, that kind of just like winked in, and they had 3 figures come out of it. And they said they were real low to the ground, and they're basically backlit from where these things come out at, so you can't really like see facial definition, but you can see like the dark silhouette of their outline. And Greg's like, he's like, they're real low to the ground, kind of spider crawling in a way, and they look really gangly, and they're like galloping towards him, and like, he turned and he saw it, and he about fell out, and was doing everything he could to get his pistol out. And that's when Natalie jumped in like a boss and just maced all these things. And I was just like, wow, okay. So where'd they go? They're like, I don't know. They ran off back there towards the back of the hill. I'm like, okay. So, I'm over there with the camera and I start walking. They're like, whoa, 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 where you going? Where you going? I'm like, I'm gonna get the crawler, right? Isn't that what we're doing? Like, bro, we almost died. I'm like, okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, y'all almost did, but I'm still good. I'm gonna go up this way. And they're like, no, you probably shouldn't. And by the time they're like, no, probably don't, and hang out back here for a minute. Let's kind of figure out and regroup. That's when it came to me that, oh no, this place is still just drenched in bear spray. So I'm like coughing my head off. I'm like, great. I guess I can't. So I'm like, okay, fine. So I start coming back, and they're still kind of talking about it, and we're doing everything we can to scan. This is like when I bring out my thermal, so that I can actually scan things too while I'm looking here with the night vision and, see what is beyond with my thermal. And that's actually where that picture came from. And, we're just kind of just trying to figure it out. I go back to the road, like the dirt road that we come in on. I'm looking up and looking down both ways, trying to see, if something is maybe trying to circle around and flank us, because Lord knows they love doing that when you're out there. And, all the while, there's like flashes of light, like, little orbs that you always see when you're out there in active areas. There was lots of that. I don't know how much of that we caught on that particular film or part of the film. I'm not sure yet. I know on the one that's releasing, I apparently I caught some good ones, so definitely come check that out. But let's see. I remember at some point in time, I decided to check the big open field that's behind us. And there's multiple like little islands of brush or tall grass in certain areas of it, and my thermal imager is not like the greatest in the world. It's meant for more closer up than what this area is, but I know like out there, I find something that's very humanoidal shaped, and I'm just like, okay, I think we're being watched from back here. So, I have somebody with a better thermal coming to verify behind me to make sure I'm seeing what I'm seeing. And, the other boss lady, like, that's just so brave, and I can't commend her enough, Peyton, she comes out there. Kristen Peyton, she comes out there, she's like looking, and oh yeah, I see it too, and we have other people come and verify, like, yeah, it looks like there's somebody out there in the middle of the field checking us out from behind some brush. So how that's all going to turn out, I don't know. I assume that copies of everybody else's thermals were gotten for that, and it should be pretty interesting. At least I'm hoping. It makes for good TV if it is. So that was pretty much my experience for Wednesday night. But do you want me to go ahead and start going on for the rest of the week, or do you have some questions?
That's what we're here for, man. I'll ask all the questions when we're done.
10-4. Gotcha. All right. So let's see here. The next night would be Thursday. And when I got back in, and got up that morning, I talked to Martin, and he was like, man, things were getting a little hairy out here while you guys weren't here. I was like, really? He's like, yeah. I could definitely hear some stuff moving around the woods. And I was like, okay, well, that's interesting. And I did some looking around. I found some kind of degraded looking prints, but I was like, okay, yeah, there definitely must have been something out here, but I didn't really think a whole lot of it. And we just kind of hung out and did our thing for the next night. And the next night, we went out with Seekers, which is Trey Hudson and all them. Good bunch of folks out there in Georgia. And we split off into two groups. And we go down basically these two dirt roads that basically like parallel each other and kind of meet back up at a certain point. And we're going down that way. And if we hear anything, we'll stop and everybody will scan the surroundings essentially. And it's kind of rinse and repeat. And then just like periodic stops, like, okay, let's do a check, and those guys have like amazing equipment too. Like I have never looked through like real like night vision goggles before, but dude, those phosphorus goggles, that's the bee's knees. I want me one of them real bad. But anyways, and we have some activity like in my group. We have a lot of orbs happen. And if I'm being honest, like the most eventful thing that happened is we saw an armadillo that Kristen decided to chase across the road. And that was probably the most adorable thing I've ever seen on a Bigfoot expedition in my life. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't really like too crazy for the group that I was in, really. But now the other group on the other side, they were over there down by the river or the lake or whatever. And there was like a lone camper that was out there. And they caught on their thermal a big Bigfoot hanging out in the bushes behind this guy's camp, just watching him. And I know for sure they got that on film, and that's going to look awesome. I mean, I've seen a little bit of it, and it looks pretty cool. But other than that, not really a whole lot happened. And so we kind of go back to like the rendezvous point at the trucks. And I'm tired, because I was out till 2:30 the previous night, because after we all left, I went back out with Mark and Kristen and tried to see if we couldn't get something to come back. And I don't think there was, but I haven't really gone through my footage yet to know for sure from my end. But anyways, like, I was tired. I was like, look, y'all just put me through a lot of walking. It's pretty late. It was real late last night. I'm tired. I'm going to hang out here. So they decided to go back and see, basically check on the guy, make sure that he was okay. And, as I'm hanging out, I'm scanning and I see another orb over to my left, over towards this other graveyard. I'm like, okay, I need to probably go and check that out. As I'm walking out there, I see one more that kind of pops up in the far corner. But I guess it's safe to say that it wasn't really an orb because it was huge. Like it was a giant oval looking light that had like it was almost outlined in red with like a white center that was extremely like transparent. Like it wasn't like the brightest thing in the world, but when it's pitch black out, it doesn't really have to be that bright. But I see this kind of open up like just in the middle of the space between like the dirt road and like the top branches of this tree. I'm like, whoa, I've never seen that happen. I was like, I'm definitely going to look at that now. So I walk out there and I'm scanning with the thermal. And then all of a sudden I start hearing that loud rhythmic thumping again. It was, and what I remember hearing was 2 thumps. It was thump, thump. I was like, what? And then all of a sudden I heard 2 grunts, I guess you would say, like in the distance though. Like it was probably a good ways away, but it was a and I'm like, whoa, what is going on over there? I'm trying to look around like, can I get down this embankment and head that way? And as soon as I'm like trying to figure out like how I would navigate this, I get zapped. And this is the second hardest zap that I've ever been hit with in my life out doing this stuff now. The one that happened in Tennessee was still worse than this, but this one hit me real hard. And not only did I get nauseous, but my head just started swimming. Like it was like the craziest little spell of dizziness that I've ever experienced before in my life. Like I felt like I was drunk. Like everything I saw started spinning. And it was everything I could do just to keep my footing. I'm walking like a toddler, like, oh my God, just trying to get back to the trucks. And I'm just like, look, there's something's going on down there. If y'all want to check it out, feel free. I gotta lay down. I had to go lay down in the back of the truck. I was like, oh my gosh, this was rough, And eventually I recover, and I go back to kind of scanning and making, content. Because I mean, like the orbs that you see that's out there, like they never really stop. I mean, if you're in an area of high strangeness, it seems like they're just always going to be around, And I'm just like, wow, I need to do some scanning and try to see it, see if I can't capture some of it. And, I'm going to release like my portion of footage and stuff like that that we did out there on my channel in the future. But, yeah, it wasn't really too much more eventful other than that, really. And, eventually they come back and it's another 2:30 in the morning by the time we get back. And they talked about what they saw, and it was pretty much more of the same. Lots of orbs. They were going down this closed off road that they wanted to investigate. That apparently has like a history or reports of portal activity. I was like, oh, really? That's cool. Turns out right here in the corner of the graveyard, there might have been one right there. So I don't know if y'all saw it, but I sure as heck did. Didn't get it on film. Wish I did. But don't recommend going and playing with it because they hurt or something hurts. But they're like, oh yeah, we talk, we debrief, and but that's really it, I mean that was fine, it wasn't nothing too crazy. I don't think that they saw anything else on their side of the thermal. Dude seemed like he was okay at their at the other campsite. So it seems like, everything was kosher and they're like, okay, we're tired. Let's go hit the hay. So, all right. So go back, wake up the next morning and, I want to check on Martin and see how camp was. And he was like, bro, like it got really crazy last night. And I'm like, really? He's like, yes. He's like, dude, they came in so much closer. Like, he's like, I don't get afraid very easy. He's like, but like they got way too close for comfort last night. He's like, man, I went back into the truck and just, kept the truck on, was waiting to like see something and haul butt out of there. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, man. He's like, man, I got out of the truck. I was screaming and hollering at them and threatening them with the emotional support pew pew. He's like, man, like it got really real here last night. I was just like, man, That's interesting, you know. And but at the same time, I'm kind of like not really paying too much heed to it too, you know, admittedly. And I'm like, you know, maybe it was deer or something, you know, like I trust his judgment, but you know, maybe there was like one, like what was that dude's camp the other night, you know, and then the rest of the time it was like maybe a bunch of deer or something walking too close because those deer were everywhere. So I'm like, you know, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. I'm not going to take 100% of everything that I hear 100% seriously. But, talk to him, be there for him, be a good friend, you know. So it's time for the investigation Friday night. And needless to say, I'm exhausted. Like I've been out way too late every single night. Like I'm done. I'm tapped out. I'm just beat. You know, we're going to have to get up early the next morning, unpack, and just get on the road. So I'm like, look, y'all go out. I'm going to hang back, you know, and I'm going to get an early start on trying to pack and get everything took care of. And they're like, okay. So they go out and, you know, I talked to Martin for a little bit and he's like being a little worried for me because he's fixing to leave too. He's like, man, look, I'm being serious, brother. Like it's been really active, you know, like be careful. I'm like, yeah, no worries, man, no worries. You know, everything's gonna be fine. Don't worry about it. I got this. And he's like, all right. So, you know, we finish our conversation. He leaves. I go to the campfire. I'm like, all right. So here is the move. I'm gonna get a bunch of wood because we got still a ton of wood that we're not going to be able to burn before we leave tomorrow. I'm going to build a big old fire and I'm going to hang out. I'll maybe do a live stream because I've got a bit of service. You know, I'll make a good time of it. And so I start building the fire, and it's probably like not even 10 minutes that I start hearing things in the tree line, you know, kind of start to make their presence known. You know, heavy footfalls and kind of like a little bit of like sounding like stuff being thrown around a little bit in the woods. And I'm just like, wow, is it really going to be one of those kind of nights? Like, okay, well, I'm here for it. So let's see. And, you know, I'm just trying to kind of ignore it a little bit and just keep my wits about me and just be mindful of everything that's going on. You know, I'm noticing in the skyline of everything that there's like an electrical storm kind of going on. You know, there's like a lot of heat lightning. You know, we're having gust of wind. Like hard weather is fixing to be rolling in. You know, and if these things need like an energy source to manifest, a lot of energy up there right now. So you know, I'm making like those mental notes in my head of everything that's going on. You know, these things are getting closer and closer, and you know, my go-to when things get hairy is always, you know, to pray. You know, and you know, I'm talking to God. I'm like, look, these things are getting way too close. I'm getting a little perturbed here. You know, like I'm gonna need you to let me know. You know, if I need to move, like, you know, Jesus, take the wheel right now because this is getting a little bit more than I bargained for just by myself. You know, and I get like a peaceful feeling like it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. I'm like, okay, it's gonna be okay. And these things, meanwhile, are just getting closer and closer. And finally, like, it's at the point where I'm hearing multiple things moving around, essentially right behind the trailer that Trey's in. I'm like, hey, God, we still good? And that's when I kind of got like the whole like overwhelming message from the Holy Spirit being like, hey, now is the time that you need to go to the tent, get your gun, and be silent. So I'm like, okay, 10-4. And, I don't back down at all normally. But if I'm being told you need to go and protect yourself and put I wouldn't say a barrier because a tent's not really much of a barrier, but I think of it more along the lines of a threshold in between you and whatever this is that's out here. If I'm getting told that while I'm praying, then yeah, it's definitely time to go do that. So that's what I do. I go into the tent, zip everything out or up, get my emotional support pew pew, rack around in, and lay down. And meanwhile, I'm sitting there, with my pistol on my chest, and I'm just praying and listening. And it's like, gosh, not even a minute that I'm in there, that it seems like these things get brave enough to start going past where the trailers are all parked at, the campers and such. And I can start hearing them like walking in camp. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, I can't believe this is happening right now. Like, wow. And I don't know what it was, that was doing it. Bigfoot, crawler, dogman, whatever. It's not like this place hasn't had plenty of stories of all these things happen in it. So, I can't like say what it was, but I know that I'm hearing 3, maybe 4 large bipedal things walking through camp. And some of them are coming real close to me, like where I'm set up at. There's very little gravel in the road itself or on the trail or whatever you would refer to it as. Very little. But as they're walking across, I can still hear the gravel like brushing up against what little gravel is there, or the soil. Like it's making enough noise for me to audibly hear that from probably a good 50 feet away. So I know that whatever is doing the steps has to be very heavy. And I'm just like, wow, I'm just blown away. And I'm just waiting to essentially like see like the proverbial handprint on the tent so I can start blasting, right? Because there ain't nobody else here in camp. Like, you ain't getting no warning from me. You done messing around. I'm gonna see if I can't bag something if you try and mess with me. Granted, would it do any good? Probably not, but still, like that's why I refer to it as emotional support. But I'm just kind of like sitting there waiting on that. And then on the left, like where that thing is walking, it kind of stops. And all of a sudden I hear it start making a noise. And there's no way that I can reproduce it. Like, I'm not even going to attempt it. But it sounds like kind of like the Predator doing the whole clickety thing sound that it makes. It's like that, or maybe like the creepy chick from The Grudge doing that. So it sounds like that, but it also sounds at the same time like the fattest cat just caught the fattest rat in the world and it's purring because it's so excited about the juicy morsel that it's fixing to consume. It is the creepiest sounding thing that I think I have ever heard. And I'm just, my eyes are like saucer plates at this point. I'm just like, oh my gosh, what is that? And I'm just like in shock. But it's not like 30 seconds later that another one on the other side of me, this one is way closer. I mean, it sounds like it's just, right at the tree line of where my tent's at on the right, maybe 35, 40 feet away at the most, does it too. And it's facing me. Like, it sounds like it's facing me straight on. And it starts making that noise back. And I'm just like, bro, I am surrounded right now. And, about that time, the wind really starts picking up and the weather starts really coming in. Like, all of a sudden, my tent is shaking from the wind. And yes, I know for sure 100% that it's wind. Don't be too alarmed, folks. But, like, my tent's moving pretty good. And I'm just like, oh, okay. That's interesting. That's not good. I would sure hate to be spilled out while this is all going on right now. That'd be freaking awesome. But then I heard the rain start hitting, and it started hitting hard. And hearing that rain was like one of the sweetest sounds I think I've ever heard in my life. Because I knew that if it's raining that hard, everybody else that went out is going to be hauling butt to get back. So I'm like, oh, thank you so much, sweet baby Jesus. Thank you. Yeah, it didn't take long. They were back, and the good news about it too was like, if those critters were still around, I at least couldn't hear them making their creepy little noises while this was all going on, but it wasn't probably, 15, 20 minutes and everybody was back. So I was like, oh, thank God. Like sweet relief. I hear everybody get out of the car and start running to the tents and hooting and hollering about it raining and this, that, and the other and getting drenched. And, it's just sweet, sweet relief. I'm just like, yes, okay. I can sleep now. And then, it's next thing I know, it's morning, it's Saturday, and it's like time to pack up. I go and talk to them after a while. I mean, eating a little bit of breakfast and drinking some coffee, hear about their night. Nothing crazy, really. Just more of the normal stuff for us while we're out. Like, okay, cool. Guess what happened here? They're like, what? Wow, that's crazy. Did you record any of it? Like, no, I was too afraid to move. I was doing everything I could be, doing to be silent. Like, I didn't want to move at all. Like, man, I don't blame you. And essentially, that was my trip to the LBL. Lots of action, man. Like, it was a crazy time. I understand now why there's so much hype about the place, And I mean, shoot, to be fair, like even on like the drive in, like when you first go over that bridge, like I felt a shift in the atmosphere when you go there. Like that place just has a vibe that is just different. And it's not like anywhere else that I've ever been to before. I don't know what that is, but the friends that I have that go out there and research all the time, they talk to me when we talk about it, and they say, there's a bit of a bug that bites you, that the LBL is always calling you back because you want to go deeper and find out more. And shoot, they're 100% right. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's technically faster for me to go to the LBL by 10 minutes than it is for me to go to the Smokies. So I know for me, I plan on, doing a lot more trips out to the LBL. So yeah, man, that's how that ended up going. You ready for some questions?
Bro, I'm telling you, dude, I got questions. See?
Okay.
I got questions.
Dang, dude, that's super professional.
Well, this is how I come up with the description for the episode and ideas of how I'm gonna, what I'm gonna title it and how to describe the prompt for the thumbnail to create.
That's fair.
It's all by going through these. So, I mean, so number one, I think it's absolutely fascinating that you witnessed, what Natalie had spoke about how the two other ladies with her were getting blasted, or zapped, and she just kind of pushed her way forward and hit those things with the bear spray. But
Yeah.
my question is this: so before we get into that, you all heard this loud thumping noise,
Mhm.
and I wish that I could hear a recording of that
Mhm.
because I've been around military bases. I've lived at close to Fort Lewis in Washington, and
Yeah.
and I've heard you know other bases that I lived next to or close to. I've heard artillery fire. I've
Mhm.
heard mortar fire. So I know that distinctive sound. I know what it sounds like up close. I know what it sounds like at a distance.
Right.
So about how loud was the thumping and how long did it last?
Right. So there were 2 rounds of it, and the first round, if memory serves, they were louder and more bassier, but there was very few of them. But the second round of them, like I am 95% convinced that it was something military wise going on out there. That's why I say, because I was the one that told them, I was like, look, I'm not a military person, but this definitely sounds like mortar fire to me, But
What?
I mean, because like the second round of it, like there was much more of it, and it sounded like they were walking out the yardage, you
Mhm.
know. However, doing that at midnight, like I don't know the precedent for that. Like you would know
Right.
more about that than me,
Mhm.
you know. But the first round, while it sounded similar to that, it was almost more like somebody stomping their feet
Okay.
very powerfully over hollow ground is the best
Okay.
way that I know how to describe it.
So my question is, after the first round of thumping you heard, did you hear any smaller or louder thumping immediately after, say within 10 seconds?
No.
Okay. So if and what military do you know what military base is out there? Is it Fort
Uh,
Campbell?
I'm pretty sure it's Fort Campbell. Yeah,
Fort
that sounds
Campbell.
right.
Okay. Okay. So that's I think Fort Campbell is 101st Airborne.
Mm.
I think that is. And if I'm incorrect, people do not persecute me for that because I was in the Air Force. I don't know where all of the army bases are. I only know the ones where my dad, and my stepdad were stationed at.
Right.
So, because the reason I asked that question is if they're doing a live fire exercise,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna hear the thunk. You're gonna hear that. You're gonna hear the artillery open up. You're gonna hear the mortar open up,
Mm-hmm.
and the mortar has a very distinctive sound. It's like a
Mhm.
thunk when you hear that go off.
Mm.
And then you'll hear a secondary you'll hear the explosion,
Right.
seconds after.
Mm-hmm.
And did the first round of thumping sound exactly like the second round of thumping, or vice versa? Did the second round sound like the first round?
The first round was definitely like louder and you felt it,
Okay,
whereas the second round you just more heard it, if that makes sense.
right.
They both sounded very similar, but the first round was definitely more distinctive,
Okay,
and I don't know.
okay. So, let's see here. Now, you believe that you guys heard a vehicle. Now, are we talking a truck, a car, something to that nature?
Sounded like somebody with a large stereo system bumping
Okay.
down the road.
Because you mentioned for whatever reason, you mentioned a helicopter.
Right. I mean, that's my only thoughts were like maybe, somebody's out there doing nighttime drills. Maybe they got a speaker hooked up to the bottom, like reenacting I don't know, the guy that shoots pigs out of the helicopters or something. Like, I don't know what shenanigans, military folks get up to at night. Like, I imagine if you're forced to play with lemons at night, you'd make some lemonade, and it sounds like a fun thing to do. I don't know.
Trust me, the military is not going to be out joyriding in Black Hawk helicopters, hunting pigs. So I can tell you that.
I don't know, man. It was just one of those things because it was like it just kind of came out of nowhere, and it was like kind of getting louder to the point where we were like, we should be seeing something.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's just nothing.
So about how long did you hear this music?
Yeah. Maybe a good 30 seconds.
Okay. All right. So when you witnessed Natalie kind of boss hog her way to the front and broke out her pepper or her bear spray like a boss, did you happen to catch any of that on camera?
Let's see here.
Or did anybody catch that on camera? And the reason I'm asking, if it's a yes, my next question is the reason why I don't have that footage because you are currently in production of the documentary Return to the LBL Making Contact?
Oh, I see what you're saying. If anybody has it, it would be Greg right now, that from his film, like as he was stumbling back trying to get away from whatever was attacking him. So
Okay.
I am not aware of that. Like, he's not gonna share like the good stuff immediately with us.
Right.
He's gonna want to look over that and pour through it the best that he can, apply filters and see if there's details that can be brought out. So like the only thing that I know that I for sure caught was me like turning around to see what was going on as I'm essentially tripping over gravestones.
Right.
So I know the exact answer of that one for you, brother.
Okay, cool. So Greg witnessed these things as well, and that answers my last question. My next question is there any footage from him? And you said if there is, it's possibly with Greg. So and again, you answered this question: is there a reason why I don't have any of that footage? Is it because of you're in what pre-production or post-production of?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So no problem there. So anybody who watches this video when it releases, you get this far and you want to know why I'm not showing any clips of any of this documentation, or this documentary. That's because they're making a documentary, you guys. They're in production, whether it's pre-post, whatever. I don't know the lingo, but they're not going to show the goods before the documentary comes out because that defeats the purpose of releasing a documentary. So
exactly, yes.
If they want to get on and just leave some garbage comments, go ahead, leave garbage comments, because if they're derogatory, I'll probably just delete them. But understand, you guys, they're in the filmmaking business. They're coming on here. They're giving us a little taste of it. I mean, the only thing I've seen from this time frame, from this first week in November, is this picture right here.
Right.
And that is Greg holding an emotional support tool. And Greg is the founder, the CEO, the president, the lead investigator, the lead photographer, whatever you want to call him.
The boss man.
He is the boss of Relic Films. And I've talked to Greg before. I've had Greg on the channel. Greg did not come across to me as a type of person that is going to pull something like that out just to pull it out.
No, gosh, no.
So again, understand that they take this filmmaking very, very seriously.
Mhm.
Greg, I can't remember the name of the documentary he did. I think it was in Georgia, and there was some incident that he had done. I think it's way before you started with Relic Films,
Mhm.
and I think I saw it on Tubi. And
Oh, Downy Booger. Yeah,
yeah,
Legend of the Downy Booger. Yeah.
yeah, you guys go on Tubi and check out the Legend of the Downy Booger. That is a fantastic documentary. I loved it.
Mhm.
I've watched it twice.
Yep. And to be fair, like the first trip of LBL is out too. I think you can still watch that on Patreon. I'm not 100% sure where else that's released at, but you can go look them up and watch that. Like that was pretty good. I mean, there's a reason why I'm the new cameraman, because their first one kind of got real shook up and did
Really?
not want to do this anymore after something was standing at the front of their truck during one of these scenes.
What's the Patreon? Is it it's on Relic Films Patreon?
I would assume, yeah.
Okay, so go I guess go to www.patreon.com/Relic Films
Yeah.
and maybe it's there. I don't know. So
I don't know. I mean, but yeah, I mean, like, there's a lot that goes on there with that, and it usually takes about a year of production before it gets released. So this just happened last month.
yeah.
So I mean, like, the entire goal is to give you guys a taste, kind of build the hype a little bit, if you will, like give you guys a bit of a understanding of what went down, and to look forward to the greatness and coolness that I'm sure it's going to be, because
Yeah.
I mean, everything's been awesome so far. I mean, shoot, I'm in it. Why not?
I've had a few people tell me that they want to take me to the LBL.
Yeah.
All right, let's roll. I'm
Hey, man.
down.
Holler at me, brother. I'll take you out there. I mean, granted, I'm no expert, but I mean, I've got friends. I mean, I hang out with Martin and Barton and
Yeah.
War Criminal, like those guys, Daryl.
Yeah.
Like, I know all those dudes.
Oh, yeah.
Just call them up. We'll go out there if you want to go out there.
So you said the second night was uneventful. The third night, however, is where part of your crew that you were with, the Seekers, I believe,
Mhm.
they captured a massive Bigfoot kind of standing off and back, watching this lone camper.
This is the second night, but yes.
That was the second night.
Yeah, that would have been Thursday night.
Okay. So on the third night,
Mhm.
this is when Martin, or was that the second? Martin told you pretty much, man, you need to be careful.
Yeah. Yeah, he let me know, like, the first night it got a little bit wild, and then, but it was, Thursday night for him, the second night out is when things got crazy for him, and he was like worried.
So when he said they were coming closer, what was he referring to?
Whatever was out there in the tree line.
Did he say what was out in the tree line?
Mm-mm. He didn't get a good visual. He said it was just shadows.
Because Natalie said when they were driving in, they saw a massive dog man that was kind of like up ahead and on the side of the road, and it bolted.
Yeah.
It took off like up like a little hill or whatever, and then off into the woods.
And this was on the Tuesday night, I think.
Yeah,
it was.
I think that's what she said.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. And then she said she saw a massive Bigfoot as well. I saw it moving just outside of fire. I mean, you could see it, but you couldn't get a great like visual of it because of the way it was moving through the trees.
Yeah.
While it was watching the camp. So you said that you got zapped. Now, my brother and I have both been zapped. Okay. You kind of mentioned a little bit of it. Now, here's what I hear. You tell me exactly what happened. Not like what did you feel? What physically did you feel?
So I felt like my entire body kind of just heat up, and then become nauseous, followed by all of a sudden just super disorientating, room spinning dizziness, which now that's never happened to me before. Like, I've been zapped before and it's never been like that bad. There's precautions that I've learned that you can take to not be hit so bad
Yeah.
when it does happen, but I know that, like, the time that happened to me in Tennessee was way worse. That put me on the floor.
Yeah.
Now this was bad because I thought I was just gonna trip over and fall and throw up at the same time. But I mean, there's not really much more that I can remember, like, as far as feeling wise from that, because
Yeah.
it's like, just everything, equilibrium is just gone
Yep.
in this event. And
And,
yeah.
and see that's what happened to my brother and I, and it happened in Tennessee as well. It happened in Shelby County.
Yeah.
It hit him first. And I watched a literally, he's 18 at the time,
hmm
and he is a mountain. He is a big side of beef. Like he was a big boy,
hmm
and to see him almost drop to his knees, I honestly think if there was not a tree in front of him where he put his hand on, he would have face planted.
Yeah.
And I watched him just salivate from the mouth, like it just nonstop. He started to dry heave like he was going to throw up.
Oh yeah.
Massive headache, disorientation. Yeah, and then a little while later, not too long, maybe 10-15 minutes after he got blasted, I got blasted.
hmm
And exact same thing, except for I actually went down to a knee,
hmm
but I recovered quicker than he did, and I attribute that completely to my military training.
hmm
You get disoriented. I'm sitting there trying to take in deep breaths of air, exhaling hard, trying to get blood flow coming back into my body,
hmm
trying to rush it to my head, whatever. And I recovered a little quicker than he did, but so, yeah, what you described is on par with what happened to my brother and I, which is also on par with other people that have also, claimed to have been zapped as well.
hmm
So that's just what I wanted to go after there. So
Yeah. No
y-
problem.
you answered my kind of question. Martin didn't really say what was close, but what was ever out there. Let me ask you, when you were there, did you have any indication that you may have been just dealing with Bigfoot or Dogman or a combination of the two?
Well, I mean, let me think here. Each of them, from my experience at this point, kind of seem to have a vibe to them. They all feel similar, but yet different. It's all ice cream, but one's peach, the other one's blue raspberry.
Mhm.
And when we were the first night, like, it felt like Bigfoot to me, because but like solely because of the silhouette that I saw in the field. Like, the mass that was with that put off Bigfoot vibe to me.
Okay.
Now, as far as like the three coming out and chasing down Greg, the way that he describes it with the jerky movements, granted, like, could it have been like an adolescent Bigfoot doing the spider crawl? It's possible. But like, my gut tells me crawler, and he is convinced crawler. So I'm inclined to believe him. But, like, without physically putting my eyeballs on the entity, like, I can't tell you guys, one way or another, oh, like 100% it was this, I can't do that. I don't know. But, it did have a vibe that was different than what I was seeing out in the field. Like, the graveyard felt 100% different than, over there in the field. And when I went back that night, because after we went back to camp, I didn't have enough. me and Mark and Kristen went back out to the exact same
Yep.
spot because I wanted to see if I could chase it down. Like I said, I got a special taste of it, man. I'm a little
Yeah.
crazy at times, and it felt 100% different then too. Like, like it felt silent and just peaceful. Like, it was refreshing almost, being out there. I mean, it's just a different feeling altogether. It's like the atmosphere is just charged or something. I don't really know how to explain it. And each of the entities that I've experienced in my life at this point all have a different feeling, and to be fair, like, the last night, that Friday night, I didn't see what was walking around. I felt like one of them was for sure a Bigfoot just by the mass. But now the things that made that weird sound, my gut reaction and feeling to that was crawler. Because
Yeah.
it felt very similar.
The sound's kind of like
Yeah, it's a lot like that.
or maybe something.
Similar. I mean, the first one was more accurate, but
Yeah.
now just get like that kind of bassy baritone of a
Yeah.
tiger purring behind
Yeah.
that, and then you got it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's that would be very unnerving to me, especially if I was in a tent. I think I would have probably gone into my car, into my vehicle, and probably tried to lay down on the floorboard as best as I could. The
Yeah.
it's just the way, just how I am, because I mean, you hear too many stories. I mean, I've seen quote unquote videos of,
Mhm.
Bigfoot pushing down on someone's tent, or you hear stories like I had a guest on. He's sleeping in a hammock that kind of had, like, it was like a tent, but it was a hammock,
Ugh, yeah.
and he heard something playing, like pulling on the tie downs that were attached to the tree, and he said he could feel his hammock jerking.
So anyways, I started blasting.
Yeah.
That's what I'd be doing.
Yeah.
I'd be the meme. I would be the meme.
So
Hindsight being 2020, yeah, that would have probably been a good idea to go the car, start it up, and get the headlights out. Yeah. But also, it was probably a good thing that I did lay down in the tent, because once that wind started picking up, man, like, I thought it was going to tip everything over. I mean, like, the previous night, I mean, one of the canopies of Greg's got destroyed in the wind,
really,
Yeah, I didn't have any stakes down in it,
Mm,
because I figured, shoot, my thing's heavy enough, I'll be fine.
right?
Well, good thing I had a 200-pound weight in there to keep it down, or else it might not have been.
Yeah, for sure. So when you heard that noise,
Mhm.
how long did it last? The purring slash
Clicking.
that stuff.
The first one was probably like 5 to 6 seconds.
Okay.
And the other one that was closer was more of a little bit longer, maybe 7 to 8.
Okay. Not bad.
But then again, maybe that's just the fear talking, because it felt like an eternity, like,
Right.
I don't know. But it was
So
extremely unnerving.
so were those the sounds he heard coming from around Trey's trailer?
No.
What did you hear coming again from around Trey's trailer?
Well, I do take that back. There was one sound that was similar to that did come from like around, like kind of like that elbow by the water there.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of just put it up to like a bird, like a heron or something. Like, if you ever heard like a heron at night or something like that.
Yep.
I was kind of like, it's probably a heron. But I mean, that it actually was extremely similar to that. But that's just what I told myself. But the sounds coming from around Trey's camper that I was hearing the most was just, movement through the woods, big, heavy stomps, pieces of like limbs or logs being thrown through the forest. That's what I was hearing from there.
So let me play a piece of audio for you,
Sure.
and let me know if you have heard something similar to this while you were out in the LBL at any time.
Okay.
Very, very old. Something's ahead of us. What's that? That's a tree crack. You have your camera going?
So we're talking the tree clack?
Yep. No, that wasn't a tree clack. That was a tree getting pushed over.
No, I didn't hear anything like that there.
Okay.
I've heard that in North Carolina,
Okay.
but not at the LBL.
Okay. Now, have you seen any type of or heard any type of vocalizations while you were out there this past time? Other than the clicking, chatter of any kind, a howl of any kind,
Right.
a moan, a growl.
Now, see, the second night when I went to go look at what I thought was a giant orb, which might have been a portal, I heard the two thumps. And directly after hearing those two thumps, I heard the,
Was it kind of like, let's see if this is the one here. Something like this, maybe?
Yep. I mean, not quite that long and drawn out, but yeah,
Okay.
that's really close. That, yeah, that was really close.
That's from Daryl Adams.
Okay.
Out at Owl Moon Lab. He said that he caught that right on the other side of a fence on his property.
Oof, that's rough.
I just imagine that it was looking up at his house and just letting him know, hey, I'm here.
Yeah.
So, hey, man, this has been fun, brother. This has been fun.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
I definitely want to have you back on again when you have availability.
Whenever you want, just holler.
Yeah, sure. Because I know you led on to you have some other stuff that's outside of this,
Mhm.
and and we're coming up on about an hour and 20 minutes. So,
Oh, wow.
but I just want to say, man, thank you so much, and it's refreshing because this is the second time that I've had multiple guests on
Mhm.
talking about the same incident, the same time frame,
Mhm.
but different points of view. The last time I had that happen, I had D.A. Roberts on, I had Wyatt and Richard on from
Mhm.
Boone County Cryptids, and they all went out to an area and they had some pretty crazy encounters. And first I heard it um, from Richard.
Mhm.
And no, first I heard it from Wyatt, then I heard it from Richard, and then I had DA on, and DA collaborated every single thing. But I was getting three different point of views from it because Wyatt was boots on the ground when this happened. Richard was the farrier. Richard was the guy that came out with his boat and was dropping people off on shore and was there evacuating people off when this thing was getting crazy.
Yeah.
And DA was right there in the mix of all of it,
Right.
So, this is why, I'd love to get Greg on. I'd like to get, who else was there? Anybody from the NCI team or the Seekers team. I definitely would love to get Martin Groves on. So
good luck. He
Yeah, I
won't
know,
do it
man.
unless it's in person.
Yeah, I know. Oh, trust me, I know. So, but dude, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on, man.
Yeah, anytime, brother. Anytime you need somebody, bro, I
Yeah.
got stories for days.
Good.
I'm happy to do it.
I'm gonna tap you like a keg, brother.
Do it.
So
I'm here.
hang out in the lobby for a second. I'm going to close this bad boy out.
All right, bro. Sounds
Hey,
good.
thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me, brother. Be good.
Anytime. Yep. All right, guys. That's Jim from the Night's Watch. You guys check out his channel. Hold on a second. I can't do this. Jim, tell us where we can find you.
All right. So all you got to do is go to YouTube, go to the search, and put in the Night's Watch podcast, and you should find me.
There you go, guys. You heard the Night's Watch podcast on YouTube. You guys give him some love. Check him out. He's almost 4,000?
31 something.
Oh,
last I
31.
looked.
So let's get him going. You know, I'm sitting at just shy of 7. Let's get this bad boy going for you, man. All right.
Awesome. I appreciate that, man.
All right. Thanks again, man. Hang on.
Anytime.
All right, guys. Again, that's Jim from the Night's Watch. You guys go check out his channel. YouTube, the Night's Watch podcast. You got to check him out. He's got some great stuff on there. You guys, I can't thank you enough for spending the time that you do with me every single Tuesday and Thursday. And then when I do my live streams, I appreciate it. Starting January, I'm going to be releasing episodes on Wednesdays and Fridays instead of Tuesdays and Thursdays. I know I've kind of messed around with these dates before, but you guys, there's this magic river called an algorithm, and I'm trying to get into the flow of that river. So I'm constantly moving on this river. So bear with me while I try to navigate the imaginary river I like to call the algorithm river. And we're going to love this journey together because, guys, I'm going to keep trying to bring you incredible stories from incredible people, all of these to the best of my knowledge, because I don't have any reason to doubt anybody. These stories are 100% true. These are stories that are lived by people that have taken decades to share. So give them the benefit of the doubt. Keep an open mind when you listen to them, because you never know when you yourself may have an encounter. So, like my buddy Josh always says, stay prayed up. And as I always like to say, you guys remember, legends always begin with a sighting. Have a great night, guys. I'll see you on the next show.
I got a strange going on out here. Something just killed my dog.
Something killed your dog?